Detroit Den 313. We're back live from Atlanta. Oh, Steve, you put it in there. My guy, my dog, just professional, just taking care of business. Listen, before Steve starts doing Steve things, I am in Atlanta for my son's 7-on-7 football game. So he's gonna tell you all types of wild things. I moved to Atlanta, and Taj, come in. So this is evidence. My son is here. Actually, two of them. They're playing football 7-on-7. Steve is going to tell you wild things. I moved here. I now work for the Falcons. It's not true. Taj, did we move?
No, we did not move.
We did not move. So don't let Steve do his thing. All right, that's it. But yeah, that's don't let him tell you anything otherwise. And we're here to talk some things. So Steve, give the people what we're talking about, and don't throw any shade, please.
Last time we streamed from another city, you were in a hotel. Now I see you're put up in a house, though. I don't know. I don't know. I thought the Ford family traveled and they stayed in hotels. Now I'm seeing houses from Atlanta. I don't know. Maybe your son was paid off. I don't know. Like money talks. Money talks is all I'm saying. But we got some news. All right. Fresh off of, I did a solo episode today with the mock draft. As soon as I got done recording that and putting that out there, this happened. Derrick Barnes, Detroit Lions agreed to a 3-year, $25.5 million extension for Derrick Barnes. A key part of their defense, $16 million of the deal is fully guaranteed on signing. You can see from Ian Rappaport. William, this is the first piece of free agency. How do you feel about this?
You know what, man? I feel great about it. And I want to offer an apology because I feel like there's been some misunderstanding with Derrick Barnes. I think that Derrick Barnes is trending in the right direction, and I think that he is a solid football player. Now, solid is what I'm looking for in the big picture. No, I'm not looking for solid. I'm looking for freak athletes that are phenomenal at their job. But do I think that Derrick Barnes is going to be a solid piece for the Detroit Lions? I absolutely do. He offers a little bit of pass rush. If you've seen what he was doing before he got injured, he offers a little bit of linebacker play. He's that hybrid balance. And I was really starting to see him really kind of step into that special Sam linebacker position for the Detroit Lions. I'm excited to see him fully healthy, back at it. But that doesn't mean that, I might not bring in a guy like Isaiah Simmons for like $2 million just to let him get a crack at it too. So, but happy that we got Derrick Barnes. Steve, how do you feel about Derrick Barnes coming back?
Cheap deal, 3-year deal, perfectly fine with that. It comes out to a little bit more than $8 million a year, $16 million guaranteed. It's a lot of money for you and me. It's not a lot of money for the NFL. I'm a little surprised that it happened today. I thought that there would be some other pieces re-signed first. I'm not shocked that Derrick Barnes is coming back. I thought, and it still could happen, I thought Kevin Zeitler would probably be the priority, or a Carlton Davis. I know we talked about him a little bit the other day, so we won't fully dive into that. But I thought Derrick Barnes was just a little bit further down the list. But I'm okay with it. It's cheap. I think Derrick Barnes is a solid piece. I don't think he's a needle mover, but I think last year we really could have used him. His athleticism, his versatility is huge. He also has probably the most iconic play in Detroit Lions history with the interception of Baker Mayfield to seal our chance or our shot at the NFC Championship game. So I'm not like over the moon. I'm okay with this deal. It's not the deal itself. It's just kind of, it's not overly exciting for me. But let me ask you this: do you think that this changes our draft strategy at all in any way? Because I know that's kind of the hot topic right now is more free agents, more draft. Do you think that signing Derrick Barnes changes anything?
You know what, Steve? I don't. I think that this is more us being prepared to do whatever we want to do, right? I think it gives us the option not to be pigeonholed into one direction. I wouldn't be surprised if we see players coming in at every position of need prior to the draft. I think that's something that would be very Brad-like. He likes to draft best player available. He doesn't like to be strong-armed into doing anything. The perfect way to do that is to make sure that you got affordable pieces at each position. So I wouldn't be surprised, man, if we come out and, we re-sign guys that we've already had. Now, this cornerback situation, I think that one's getting a little bit hot and heavy. I do think that one's going to take a little bit longer, considering what we talked about yesterday as far as with the trade situation with the Twitter situation and Carlton Davis, his cryptic tweet. So I think that one might take a little bit of time. I think there's going to be a little bit of ping pong balling going back and forth to see who's doing what. So outside of that, though, I'm fully expecting guys like Kevin Zeitler, Dan Skipper. I think those are all things that we're going to see in the next couple of days. But there's going to be, I don't think it'll be a splash, but we're going to sign some more pieces, man. I think that are outside the house too, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I by no means think that we're done signing. So we've talked a lot of free agents. We've talked to a lot of people requesting trades. I was just a little bit surprised that the Derrick Barnes news was today. I know that this is kind of the weird time, a few 4 or 5 days before free agency really kicks off. I guess this is really the time where, the Lions are starting to sign some of their own pieces back, and then they're going to look at who do we add? Who do we bring in? Do we bring in a Javon Hargrave or a Josh Sweat? I mean, this is just kind of that time where you're starting to see who the other teams aren't re-signing, signing your guys, taking care of business in-house first. But yeah, like I said, this move is nice. It's not like edge of my seat. Hold on, Derrick Barnes is coming back. Now we're for sure going to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think he's that type of player, but this is just a solid piece for the Detroit Lions defense.
I will say, Steve, I'm excited, and I'm not going to say it's going to be a crazy piece that sends us to the Super Bowl either, but I'm excited to see where he was going, man. I think that he was on his way. I'm not going to say to solidifying himself, but making a case that we didn't need to replace that piece. I felt like he was truly doing that. When I watch him on film sometimes, man, and I don't really understand it, because he offers more edge rush. And then I keep mentioning Jack Campbell, because I just feel like Jack Campbell should be able to rush off of the edge. I feel like Derrick Barnes does it probably the best out of that linebacker group. So I would by no means call him an edge rusher, but when you ask that same linebacker to chase a running back and or rush off the edge and or support in the run game, he's super physical. I just like all of those attributes, man. I think if we surround him with the right pieces, he can thrive.
Yeah, I think at the end of 23, he started to really, really play well, and he didn't really get a chance to play too much in 2024. I can't even remember what his injury was. I mean, we talking 27, some guys injured. What was his, the knee, or was his
knee?
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this defense was just absolutely, you put all the defense on a bus and pretty much just drove it off a cliff last year. Everyone was on the IR except for Jack Campbell, I think, is the only one who played every single game. And maybe Carlton Davis. I don't remember him missing any time, but not Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold. I don't know. Yeah, we just got to add some depth. So Derrick Barnes, nice little piece back in Detroit, 8 years, $25 million, team-friendly deal, 3 years. He's going to be here for a while. So I'm curious to see what happens this next week. This next week is laying the pathway for the NFL draft. And I know Newhouse, you're not really sure where everything's at quite yet, Will. So where the table legs lay, it'll take you guys a couple months to get acclimated down there in Atlanta. But
I can't stand you. Serious question before we get off here, because I know some people are going to be in a panic. We have a fan base that is really excited about Jihad Campbell. Does this mean that the dreams of Jihad Campbell in your mind are absolutely washed? Does that mean those you can just forget about them, that we're going to go in a different direction? Or do you think that there's still a potential that Jihad can be a Detroit Lion?
Signing Derrick Barnes doesn't really change anything for me. And I'm not one of those, I got to have Jihad Campbell guys. I'm not saying, Jihad Campbell has to be the pick at 28. I've got a bucket of players just like Brad Holmes. Jihad Campbell's in that bucket. If he is the pick, I could still see that that's a realistic thing. I don't know that it 100% is now. Maybe those odds are a little bit more watered down and diluted now, but I still think he's in the mix. I don't think this takes anyone off the draft board. I don't think the name Derrick Barnes is me removing anyone off my draft sheet if I'm Brad Holmes. So no, I don't think it changes anything at all. And again, Jihad, I've seen it on Twitter, like, the hopes of Jihad Campbell are dead. Like, it was one of the first things I saw on Twitter. I was just thinking, like, is it really dead? Because I don't think Derrick Barnes moves the needle at all. I think it just kind of keeps the needle right where it is. Like, I'm not trying to downplay Derrick Barnes and make it sound like he's trash or anything. I think he's solid, but he's not solid enough to where I'm changing my draft strategy after signing him.
Yeah, I just think we need depth, man. We already said, if we haven't already, we're releasing Jerm. So Malcolm Rodriguez, I'm not sure if he's going to be ready by training camp. So we need depth, man. So I'm with you. I don't think that it means that Jihad is off the table. So all the Jihad Campbell fans, I guess, for lack of a better word, they're hoping that he ends up a Detroit Lion. I wouldn't give up on it just yet, even though I'm in a different direction. I want that defensive tackle or edge rusher, but either way that it goes, I'm telling you, if they call Jihad Campbell's name, I'm not going to be complaining. It's not going to be one of those ones where I'm like, whoa, what are they doing or whatever. So I think coming off of a 2024 season where darn near everybody was injured at some point, I just think that we're just loading up, man. We're loading up on pieces. We're loading up on depth. If you get Jihad Campbell and for some reason, whoever ends up winning the job, the next one has to come in, then you don't have to worry as much. So I think we need depth. If we learned anything from last season, it still could be anybody, man.
Yeah, I want a dominant defense. So this changes absolutely nothing for me. If it's D tackle, D end, a hybrid linebacker of any type of sorts, I'm perfectly fine with it. If it's a defensive player, I'm not going to be upset in the draft. So Derrick Barnes doesn't change anything for me personally. If Brad Holmes has a different opinion, hey, he's the guy who gets paid to do the job. So it's ultimately his decision, not Stephen Will's. But let's just start 2 cents. You got anything else for today, Will?
Just breadcrumbs, man. I would ask everybody, I strongly suggest you to follow those breadcrumbs because Brad has said it in multiple drafts. He doesn't prepare his roster for the season opener. He's preparing his roster for November. He's preparing his roster for the run. So that being said, if you look at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, when Nakobe Dean got injured at the end of the season, they had Jeremiah Trotter just ready to go. You know what I mean? Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I mean, so they got depth at each location, man. I think each good team, each quality team has that, and that's all we're doing here. Whether Derrick Barnes wins the job or doesn't win the job, for $8 million a season, you have a starting quality player, whether he starts or a rookie you draft starts. So I tip my hat to Brad. I think it's a good move, and I'm looking forward to see what the next one is.
Yeah, we'll see. This is just the very, 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 very tippity top of the iceberg. We'll see what happens next week, the draft. There's still a lot to digest, but like I said, this is just the first piece of the signings. Zeitler might be coming down the road. Carlton Davis might be coming down the road. Skipper, whoever else I might be missing. This is just the first one to fall into play, the first puzzle piece to fall into place. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way. Anything else, Will?
Nope, that's it.
Be careful walking around the streets of Atlanta. All right. If you see a street called Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, turn the other way. If you're wearing those colors, Will, it's probably not going to be good for you. I know you got the Ford family's rolling pretty. I know the Ford family's probably rolling pretty deep through Atlanta. I know the whole gang's down there. So just be careful, Will, wearing that Detroit Lions stuff. Stick around. We'll be back later with another episode.
Peace.